I know, which is good, but I don't know where it is.
Today we ran, Rabbi went through like 7 days and never got it, so now we're just, before he sent it. He sent it last night.
Oh, that's,
And then he sent this, which is great, because that, and then there's a
so what's, that's just the link.
this is the link. We had this. He's gonna send us. I don't know why. I'm serious. Boom.
Why? I don't have to do anything. Well, where are the shoots? Where are the
Yeah, but
yeah, I don't see the shoot.
no, he has to send one.
You
You should send it. No, you should send it. Yeah, each time, each week. Yeah, yeah.
You have a nice place for me and a nice day. Yeah, I could get into that.
PDF, yeah, send it. There you go.
Oh, yeah. That's what I told him. Yeah.
And then
Oh, we're
Reuven
using the same Sefer for all. Yeah.
We had a sport. I just want to exist.
Yeah.
I don't want no activity.
You just walk around with your kids.
That's it. I just want to exist 3 meals a
Somebody
day.
just gonna-
That's it. I want to be. Do you have a schwitz to go to at the end of the day with a cold one?
Cold bed? Yeah, but jump in the lake.
Yeah.
Jump in the lake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we do the new Sefer? Do we do that? So what did he use?
I'll take care of it.
No, I gotta know.
I saw the video, it was nice.
I hope you're gonna listen to it today.
How are you?
All right, take it easy. I didn't mean to disturb you.
No, it's not disturbing.
I want
I'm
you to
just
get
saying
it.
that for you.
It's exposed in my.
No, I think you have a problem. You need a job.
Good guy.
I don't know, I never met him, but
My wife told me to get out of the house.
I had similar discussions.
Special duty. Take up
Huh?
her space.
Good guy.
yeah.
Imagine 10 rooms empty.
Like a bigger house.
But I take up her space. Got that? I love it. I love it. Isn't that wonderful? Who would have ever thought? Right? Right?
I think that means she really likes you.
You think so, huh? Remember the first words when you die? The first words are after 20 minutes of crying. Where's the cash and where's the insurance policy? I promise you. I promise you. 20 minutes you give them a little crying, a little, they feel bad. Okay.
So make sure to tell her for everything.
No, just make sure the accountant shows up.
Yeah, so, make sure she knows what it is, 'cause that's.
Right, exactly.
You think that could be 20 minutes, yeah?
Maybe. Depending. Yeah, I give 20 to 30 minutes crying. Ugh. By the way, where's the cash and where's the insurance? That's all.
I heard that for the kids, for the wife too?
What?
The wife too?
Oh, the kids, yeah, kids. So when do we read the will? You better go first class, because if you don't, they will. That's the state plan. The only people that make money after you go to the lawyers and they get paid.
No. Some of the link.
What do you know me about Weinberger? What you do, Are any of your kids with my kids in Israel?
My son is in the same program as your brother, in different programs. Aish, he's in Aish.
Yeah?
His son is Olivia.
Oh, that's gonna be like, that's gonna be playtime.
Yeah.
She already found the King David. Breakfast is good. It didn't take long. What a life. Breakfast with the King David.
We began the Torah Tzadik Yisod Olam on page Kuf Lamed Zayin in Ayekah. Just to remember what we were talking about, because it's the Reuven of all of Yiddishkeit. That's where we are right now. And the question we were talking about last Erev Shabbos was Ma Tarotzeh. That question of what is it that you want. To be able to answer that question of what do you want. And we learned from the Bnei Sasson that these are the days, why are these days called Yimei HaRatzon? Why are they called Yimei HaRatzon? To remember that Ratzon, because there are many different levels of what a person wants. We spoke about wanting something at a level of nefesh. Right? I'd like to have a nicer house. I'd like to have good coffee. So the answer to the question of Matar Hotzeh is very, very basic, and the answer is on the level of nefesh. That's Shimon's answer to Reuven. Reuven asked Shimon, "What do you want, Shimon? What do you want in life?" He says, "I want a better cup of coffee." So that's nefesh. And then Reuven keeps on. I'm just reviewing. Then Reuven pushes Shimon harder and says, "No, Shimon, really, what he wants?" He says, "I want to be a better father, a better husband." So now we're entering into the Ratzon of Ruach, until he brings him to a place of neshama, and we're talking about Ratzon Haratzon, where a person wants only what Hashem wants. In other words, he's no longer answering that question, Ma ani rotzeh. Ani rotzeh klum. I don't want anything. Or I want everything. But my wanting everything means HaKadosh Baruch Hu, not what I want. Ani rotzeh ma Hashem Baruch Hu. That's all. I want what Hashem wants. I want what Hashem Baruch Hu wants. So that, and we saw this in the aura of that so before creation, that was the Ola B'Ritzon Yisbarach. That's the beginning of everything. Kisha Ola B'Ritzon Yisbarach. Kisha Ola B'Ritzon. What do you want? What does Hashem Yisbarach want? Kisha Ola B'Ritzon. And that Mincha and Shabbos going into Shalosh Sudas, arrive the Reuven, before that world of that week is created, the question of Matar is arrive the Reuven, Ratzon Haratzon, Vanisi Los Lecha Hashem Aish Ratzon. And we're in this time right now. This Aliyas HaRatzon. What do I want? And one's entire davening during this time of the year could be a davening on a level of nefesh, which say that ruach, beautiful, neshama is gewaldig, and to come to a place of Yehi Ratzon L'fanech, that I don't want anything other than what you want. That's all. Shum davar. So that is the koach of the Tzadik. That's the inyan of the Tzadik. The Tzadik Yisod Olam. So we just learned. Let's just go back to the beginning. We just did we did one sentence. Let's review. Page Kuf Lamed Zayin. Av shahar Ratzon shalom Yisod mishtal shem Ratzon Hashem. Kshu ma'ifiyah b'kirbeinu. V'so kol ma'arochas ha'chaim shalonu hu'olu listos mim kairoi. It's very easy to get get lost and to want things that are other than what Hashem wants, and to get lost in very, very small and even petty recinas. Therefore, the whole avod of Lataris Atzmeinu, Lahashiv is our Ratzon El Makar. The whole davening, we'll see he brings down over the next couple of Mamarim from the Aris HaKodesh and from the Kavatzim, a few places of Rav Kook. The whole avodah of davening is refining one's Ratzon. Discovering one's Ratzon, refining one's Ratzon. It's the whole davening is the meaning of Ratzon. Lahashiv es Ratzon El Makar, L'Ritzos es Ratzon Hashem. That's what we're talking about. L'Ritzos es Ratzon Hashem. To want what Hashem wants. L'Ritzos es Ratzon Hashem. And the avodah of tshuva is that realignment of coming as close as we can to that place of wanting in my life what Hashem Baruch Hu wants, and recognizing that there are things that I wanted this past year that were not aligned with Hashem's Ratzon. So, and not to get depressed or worked up over it and to read scary books, but to try to realign oneself in a healthy and positive way with the Ratzon Hashem. Inyan Zeh. So this is where we're up to. The second paragraph on page Kuf Lamed Zayin. Inyan Zeh shel ilui haratzon. This inyan of elevating the Ratzon. Tikuna v'hashvasa al Ratzon Hashem, to try to be misaken and to bring one's Ratzon lahashvasa al Ratzon Hashem, to be able to align one's Ratzon with the Ratzon of Hashem. Hu halev v'hasharish shall call avodas Hashem. That's the kesed. That's the crown. We were talking about that a little bit last day of Shabbos. That you could have a husband and wife, and they get along very well, and they manage on the level of nefesh, ruach, and so on. And there's a lot of caring, there's a lot of good things, and they do for each other. It's very good. But the feeling that one has is that I'm not in that place of Ratzon. I'm not in that place of Reuven, of the crown, of the Kesser. I'm not in that place. Or I want what the other person wants. And all of the arguments, all of the fighting, all of the pain in this world is because between a husband and wife is because those Ritzonos are not aligned. And one wants what one wants and not what the other wants. And as a result of that, there's a lot of anguish in the world. So the union of the Tzadik, Hashem bara us on above and sheyesh lana bechira. We were created in such a way that we have bechira. Ha'im le'eschar b'leratzon ha'atzmi ha'amiti shalana. So the choice is, do I try to attach myself, to be meschaber to the Ratzon ha'atzmi ha'amiti, to that deep inner Ratzon, which is the Ratzon of Hashem. Or do I allow myself to fall into this distortion where my Ratzon goes in different directions, where my answer to the question of Ma'atarat says not the same answer that Hashem has for me. I have a different answer to the question. As I want one thing, and Hashem Yisbarach wants something else. Hashem wants me to get to davening on time, and I want to stay in bed. That's a very silly, childish example, but it seems a lot of people are having a problem with it. Hashem wants me to be in shul on time, and I want to stay in bed. You have to do tshuva. Hashem, what does Hashem want? Forget about it. You want to stay in bed. I know it's nice to stay in bed, but what does Hashem's book want? It's tafsikim zakra. You're not a baby, and it's like that with everything. That's the whole Avodah. Tshuva means to return to that Ratzon of Hashem. That's it. It means to return to the Ratzon of Hashem, which requires my self-awareness to a point where I recognize that the deepest part of who I am wants the same thing that Hashem wants. There is no disparity between my deepest Ratzon and Hashem's Ratzon. That's why sometimes when something, when a person is Chalila, is shaken up, and all the external Ritzonos just fall away, then he's in that place of Ratzon HaRitzonos. That's why the Alter Rabbi speaks about in Tanya. You'll see that even a Jew whose whole life is far from Torah mitzvahs, but his Moshe Nefesh for that Nakuda, when he comes to that point where everything else in his life seems so silly, it seems so absurd. All of his secondary and tertiary Ritzonos now are absurd. At that moment of truth, all the other things are absurd. It's all silly. And a person can the whole tachlis of coming through the davening is when you come to Ne'ilah, to come to that place of Hashem Elokim. And if somebody would go over to you and say, what do you say about Starbucks tonight? And you look at him like he's out of his mind. Because that's the truth of what you understand, that the Ratzon to have a coffee is a very, very, very silly and low Ratzon. Low, I don't mean evil or bad. I just mean it on the totem pole of Ritzonos. It's very, very silly. It's fine to want a coffee. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you begin to identify yourself with the silly and smaller Ritzonos of your life, it means that it's time for tshuva. It's tshuva time. And when a person's by Ne'ilah and you're asked about by Ne'ilah, someone asks you, Matar as opposed to you hearing that question like a regular day, not even an El, because El is a little bit more sensitive. So when someone says, "What do you want?" You say, I know you're getting at El, right? You want it. I'm talking about like it's in the middle of the summer or something. Before Tu B'Av, or whatever, some winter vacation. What do you want? So, do you feel silly? Do you feel that your answer to the question of what do I want is not what I really want? This what I really want is what Kodesh Baruch Hu wants. So do I feel that this is silly? So there are people that they can stop for a second and can smile and say, yeah, I know this is silly, but pass the coffee over. I know it's silly, but it's already madrega. It's already madrega. To be able to laugh at oneself is the beginning of tshuva. That's the beginning of tshuva. To be able to laugh b'chlal is the beginning of tshuva. To laugh at oneself is the beginning of serious tshuva. But to actually take seriously the silly answer to the question of Mata Ratzeh, and to answer with something that's not what Hashem wants. Again, I'm not saying Hashem doesn't want you to have the coffee, but I'm just using it as an example. But to answer that question with something that Hashem doesn't want, so then tshuva. Davening is what do you want? The whole davening is Ratzon. It's trying to identify the Ratzon, to come to one's Ratzon. This is the Bechira. Yesh l'Ratzon shalanu efshar listos mehamaslul. It's very easy for the Ratzon of a person to get off, to get derailed. There are many things in life that can cause that to be derailed. L'alechas the kivunim lo tovim. And that the Ratzon can go into all kinds of wrong directions. Till Chalila, a person wants something that Kodesh Baruch Hu, God forbid, Kodesh Baruch Hu detests. That's what an Aveira is. An Aveira is something, I'm not talking about a coffee now, we're talking about, God forbid, an Aveira. An Aveira is something that Hashem Baruch hates. Kodesh Baruch Hu detests that ugliness. So there is this distance between what Hashem, not only what Hashem Baruch Hu wants, what Hashem Baruch Hu loves, but between my Ratzon, something that I want, and Hashem is the opposite of wanting that. L'alechas the kivunim l'toivim, v'aleinu l'zakeches haratzon. For all of our avodah revolves around this, l'zakeches haratzon. And that's why these are days of Ratzon, because it's especially from the beginning of time, since this is the time where Allah Ratzon Lizbar, that Hashem Kivyachel's Ratzon was clear. Before Hashem's Ratzon was, I'm just saying, Kivyachal was weighed down by creation itself. Because creation itself, the world itself, is a heavy burden. So even before Hashem created the world, before there was a possibility of any other wants, there was only wanting, and that's El, and that's the days of Tshuva. There was only wanting. That's El. Before there was a world, before there was any, not that Hashem was ever distracted, but before there was ever a possibility of distraction, that's the Or, that's always there, but this, especially now, this Or. And the avodah therefore is lazaki ches haratzon, shiva al haratzon hanishmasi. To try to bring my Ratzon back from all of the distractions of the year, all the places where the strange places where the Ratzon wandered off to, and to bring the Ratzon back home, to bring the Ratzon back to that place of Ani Ratzeh Masha Kodesh Baruch Hu writes. That's the Hashiva al Haratzon Hanishmasi Ha'amiti Shebekirbeinu. Haratzon Hanishmasi Ha'amiti Shebekirbeinu. And this is really the Haggadah. This is what a Tzadik is. This is the definition of Tzadik. A Tzadik is a person who wants what Hashem's Baruch wants. Madregas v'tzanah shleima im Hashem Elokav. V'hainu shuhu nikar es v'tzanah mikol stia v'silov. He refined, he cleaned his Ratzon from all of the stias and siluf, from all the distortions and distractions. He's cleaned his Ratzon. He has a clean Ratzon. The kivin es v'tzanah legamrei al Ratzon Hashem. And he's back, he's on that course where kivin es v'tzanah legamrei al Ratzon Hashem. That doesn't mean that he's infallible. A human being is capable of making mistakes. But the kivun is the kivun, always al Ratzon Hashem. Al Ratzon Hashem, this moment in my life, the Ratzon Hashem. Not a minute ago, not a minute later, but this moment of my life. What is the Ratzon Hashem? That's the name of the Tzadik. Kivinis with some legamri al Ratzon Hashem. Mimela, kol ma'asav, all of his actions, the tzaddik, diburav, his words, or machshavosav mekuvanim lefi Ratzon Hashem, are aligned with the Ratzon Hashem. Are aligned with the Ratzon Hashem. There's something very, very beautiful that someone told me. One of the Chevra told me he was on a trip, a business trip in West Africa. He had to go to this in a country called Ghana. You ever heard of it? You say that. So I was never there, and I have no interest in going there. Although it sounds like an interesting place, and it's considered to be in that world one of the better places in that part of the world. And he was describing to me the unbelievable derech eretz of the people that he met there, Muslims and Christians. The unbelievable derech eretz, the fineness of the people. I don't know if he went into the urban, neighborhoods, but where he was only very, very impressed. And he said there was a certain, like a prince of a tribe, that he was talking to, and the person speaks in a very gentle way, and they were having this Yid was having, this Chassidish fellow was having a conversation with this African prince, and they were talking about Yiddishkeit and different things, and he's very, very pro-Israel, very strong, this person with that. And the Chassid asked him about the way that he speaks. That he said, I'm very impressed with how you talk. So this person said to this Yid, he said that from the time that I'm a young man or something, I made a decision that I would never say a word without stopping to think it would be pleasing to God. It's good to go to Ghana just to pick that up. I hope you don't pick anything else up over there.
Next trip.
What?
Next trip.
Yeah, shul trip to Ghana. I can't find. We'll have to make up a kever of a tzaddik over there. Don't worry, they do that in yourself too.
You did that before. We'll do it again.
What?
You did it before. We'll do it again.
Yeah. No. But he had the word to say. The person said, "I don't say a word without thinking, will this bring honor to God?" That was what I'm going to say is going to bring honor to God. I heard this last Erev Shabbos, Leil Shabbos, and I'm thinking about this the whole time. Not to say something with it unless it brings honor. Now, if you go to the Yibodel, then Oyer L'Choshech and Yisrael V'Hamim, if you would go to Yerushalayim and go to the Amshna Rabbi Yisrael Gezun Zayin B'Sun Segur, so you say to them, did you hear, Rabbi, this? I spoke to this person said that he doesn't say anything without thinking. He would the Amshna Rabbi would say, yeah. Well, how do you talk? Because for the tzaddik, this is that by the tzaddik, the ayin, the Ratzon is b'pshitas. This world is a chiddush, like it's saying Chabad. This world of yesh is a chiddush to this. It's strange to the tzaddik. The world of ayin is that's where the tzaddik lives. The tzaddik lives in that place of it's not me, it's him. So since the tzaddik lives in that place, what's the question? Of course, why would I say anything if it doesn't bring honor to Kodesh Baruch? Why would I do anything if it doesn't bring honor to Kodesh Baruch? If it doesn't bring kavod to Hashem Baruch. That's what a tzaddik is. If Yemela says everything he says, Yemela kol ma'asav dibur machshavosav mekuvanim lefi Ratzon Hashem. Sheken haratzon hu halev shakol koiches achayim. Because Ratzon is the heart of all the koiches of life. Is the Ratzon, is the will, is the keser, is the crown, is Aish chala teres baila. That's where everything comes from. Is the Ratzon. All the Ratzon. That's where everything comes from. V'hu manhigam el hakivun she'oisam mevakesh. And the Ratzon is that which directs everything, all the koiches achayim, right? Everything comes from keser. So all of the koiches achayim receive their instructions from that place of Ratzon. Tzadik hu misha menakes atzmo mikol stia shel haratzon. The tzaddik is a person who has cleansed himself of all detours from the Ratzon. Mikol stia shel haratzon. Stia is a lashon like in the Torah, like a saita. A woman who's a chalil is a saita. What does it mean? Saita means listas min haderech. It means there's a certain proper path. It's called Erech Tzadikim. The Erech of the Tzadik. There's a certain path, and then you have a stia. Means listos min haderech means that you went away from that Ratzon ha'elyon, and you went into side streets and all kinds of funny places that are your own Ritzinus, that are not the Ratzon Hashem. And that's the meaning of the word saita, which is the word shaita, because that's a shtus. And ein adam chaytel kenichnas habayruch shtus. Ruach shtus means a ruach. Shtus means silliness, foolishness, but shtus means a ruach. Keilu, there is some other kivun other than the Ratzon Hashem. That's the shtus. Why would a person do an aveir? A person is not over aveir. Elam kenichnas habayruch shtus or ruach shtus. Shtus means keilu this. Keilu there are other streets. There are other avenues and places to go, except for the Ratzon Hashem. That's a ruach shtus. That's the biggest shtus of all. It's the ruach shtus. The tzaddik has freed himself of all of these stiyot, of all the shtuyot of Ratzon. Ad tzina, till he's become himself a conduit. A tzina is a conduit, a pipe. Tzina is the easiest Ratzon. Till the person has become himself a tzina, mezukach, clean, like the shofar, it's clean, and the voice comes. Hashem's voice goes through the tzaddik, like the Baltakeya, the shofar is nice and clean. Comes, it's a tzina for the voice, and it's a pipe, and the voice, what's put in comes out, And the tzaddik is such a person. He's a clean tzina, a pipe, a shofar, tzina, Ratzon. Mezukach lahifas Ratzon Hashem. Through the tzaddik, the Ratzon of Hashem comes into the world. That's why when you're in the presence of a tzaddik amiti, when you're in the presence of that tzaddik, you really don't need to be convinced to be better. You feel that you want to be better just by being in his presence, because the tzaddik is shining with that or of the voice of Hashem traveling through him. The or of Hashem comes unfiltered through the tzaddik. Therefore, when you're in the presence of the tzaddik, so you could be listening to Shiur from Heinberg. You go to every Shiur in the world. You're the biggest Shiur goer. You listen to every Shiur in person, and not in person. You're online. You're listening to every Shiur, and you listen to every Frum podcast, and Gunish is helping. You're still the same person you were last year, and you go next to the tzaddik, and the tzaddik can look at you nice and just say, "Try harder," and you make a whole tshuva. He doesn't have to even say that's all extra. He doesn't have to even say, "Try harder." Just because when you're next to the tzaddik, there's that or of the Ratzon of Hashem. It's clear. You just feel it. That's the Ratzon of Hashem. There's a transparency that comes with the translucence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's or that you feel that this is what's right. And then all of your silly shtiyot, in that second of being with the tzaddik, all of them are so foolish. All of them are so silly. So this time of the year, I always get phone calls from different places about this inyan of that. My wife doesn't want me to go to Uman. That my wife doesn't want me to go to Uman. Phone calls, and I'm always have to be very, very careful with this because if this husband and wife are in two different places, then it seems like he's just like not taking care of his family, just to disappear for a week or something. And to go off to Ukraine for a week and leave us to fend with with my parents or with my in-laws or something, and the kids. So if those Ritzonos of the husband and wife are not properly aligned, it seems strange and even cruel. When they are aligned, then she's sending him off with besupim v'machailas, with the greatest blessings. That you're going to the tzaddik and you're going to come home with all kinds of presents for all of us, with Hashem's presence for all of us. You're going to come back. Hashem's presence, not with the T. With Hashem's presence, the nochuchut Hashem, to bring back for all of us. But I can't have a conversation so then I have to enter into the into the nefesh, into other things in ruach. You can't talk on the level of neshama if the wife doesn't understand that, if she's not in that place. And she's talking about, come, for Jews. Blah, blah, blah. Then you can't. How could you have that conversation if she's not in the place? If she's not in the place of neshama, she's in the place of nefesh, even ruach. Ruach means that we're all going to miss you too much, or how's Yankee going to daven if you're not there, and so on and so forth. So she's already not in the place of nefesh, like, I need somebody to help me, with the kids. That's nefesh. Which I'm not making fun of that. It's real stuff. I'm not making fun of it. I get in big trouble. I'm not making fun of any of that. Then maybe she's in a place of ruach. It's already a different madrega. Her concerns are madregas that are emotional. Maybe even the shaman. We're not going to have you with us saying Torah, Rosh Hashanah, and singing Gizmiris with us, and by being with our father, the kids. All of those are conversations that I have with the Lonely Mothers Brigade and Wives Brigade, and they're legitimate conversations. If I would say what I want to say, I can't say it, because if I say it, then I'll be cancel cultured. Nowadays, you could even be assassinated. God forbid. They did to that poor guy. You can't say. It's something that people don't like to hear. You'll get one of the most shocking things I ever heard. I told this to you a few months ago. That I was having a conversation. So I don't mean to be anything against like ladies and stuff, but it happened to be with a woman. I had this conversation, and I disagreed with what she was saying. She was saying something horrible about her husband, and I know the husband for longer than she does. And she was talking about the etzem of the person, which I thought was terribly off. Not that he hasn't made mistakes; it was terribly off. And I disagreed with her. And her response was, "I don't feel safe." You ever hear that? And I didn't know what she was talking about. First of all, the doors open. There are people walking around. What do you mean you don't feel safe? What's not safe over here? What's not safe? I disagreed with you. That's what happened yesterday to this guy. That's what's happening in the world. She got on. If somebody doesn't want what you want, the person's already worthy of getting killed. The person should die because they want something different than I want. The person should die. So you have to be very careful when you have conversations with people. So the conversation is always one that it's uncomfortable for me, and then very often I'll just tell the husband, I don't think, over the years I've had to say to guys, I don't think it's a good idea to go, because she's bechlal not in that place, and you could have serious issues as a result of the trip. Very wonderful, you're married to a wonderful lady, she's a very wonderful mother, a good person, but she's not in that place of where Rabbi Nachman is. And if she's not in that place with Rabbi Nachman, if she's in that place, what's the question? Again, she'll send you off she'll be your biggest cheerleader. But if she's not in that place, then you're some kind of a horrible person. How could you be, or something between being a tzaddik and a horrible person? But you're not. But what kind of a father leaves the family? What kind of thing is this? And when you read stories about how in the old days they would go off to the Rebbe from Rosh Chodesh Elul till Simchas Torah, they would go away. You didn't have any, you didn't have like an easy. It wasn't an easy trip. If you lived someplace and you had to go off, you were some Chabadsky and you had to go all the way off to Lubavitch, or you were a Kusker and you had to get to Kusk and you lived far away. You were gone and you would go for the month of Elul. You would go for the month of Elul. So back then there were also fights and arguments about this. And one of the tiniest of the misnagdim is of many misnagdim is how could a person go away from his family for an entire month? But if you're a chassid, and if she's a chassidista, how could you not go away? How could you not be by the tzaddik? What are you talking about? What does that mean to have a year without the tzaddik? There's no such thing. You can't have a year without the tzaddik. And then the wife will say, "But you don't even understand what the tzaddik is talking about." And the husband just shakes his head and says, "I can't explain this to you. You're right. I don't know what he's talking about. He's saying stuff. I don't know what he's talking about. But I know that that's the Ratzon Hashem. When I'm there, I know that I'm with God. And I have a hard time with that where I'm in other places. But when I'm there and I'm in His presence, it's His presence. Mamish. I feel His presence. I know that this is all true. And when I'm away from Him, sometimes I have sveikas. And I don't like those sveikas. But when I'm with Him, then the sveikas are gone. And I'd like to be in that place of a Suffolk, Amalek free life. I enjoy that just for a little bit. I mean, I know I have to come back home. But how do you explain to somebody who's not in that place? It doesn't make any sense at all. So all these conversations and discussions, and they look at people like they're crazy. How could they go to Ummah? Or then they'll say, "Why? There are plenty of tzaddikim that are buried here." You know, so why don't you just go on Thursday to the OL? You should also go to the OL on Thursday. But if a person has a connection to Rabbi Nachman, and that's his tzaddik. By the way, if a person has that connection to Rabbi Nachman, he has good taste, and he has that connection to the tzaddik. So then, I can't breathe without the Ummah. I can't live without it. What that means to a person, and how you can't have a conversation. That's what's going on. You see between people with other things that you can't have a conversation. If somebody understands what it means to have a marriage, to be married, and to understand what it means to hold a child in their arms. If you understand what that means, if the person doesn't know what that is, and they're talking about this like ideas, the concept of a child, the concept of a kesher, so then all the conversations are silly. All the conversations are silly. And despite that, look at the patience that the tzaddikim have. The tzaddik will sit down and talk to people like us. Even though we're always talking about, like, when I say we, I'm just saying a generalization, that we've come to the tzaddik with our inyanim. And the tzaddik is in that place, and he comes down from that place like Moshe Rabbeinu, El Ha'am, to talk to us. About what? About nefesh, ruach, about all kinds of stuff. Even though the tzaddik just wants you to join him in that, in Ummah. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? What are you talking about this Indian? That this is something which you're all worked up about. Which nowadays almost every text or WhatsApp begins with the words, Rabbi, I'm struggling with, and then it continues on to something. What are you struggling with, Bichlal? This is your struggle in life? This is a struggle. And the tzaddik still talks to us about our struggles. When you go to the tzaddik, he has compassion, he has rachmanis. Of course, we all have to have. Whatever a person's going through, just like when the child's struggling with the battery of his toy being dead. So, it's a chashuv thing. You don't laugh, well, you laugh. It's a toy. This is a big deal in life. So for the kid, that's a big deal. And the tzaddik comes to talk to us, and we can talk to the tzaddik about these things. For the tzaddik, it's painful. It's painful to leave that world. Like Moshe Rabbeinu to go down. It's very, very painful for the tzaddik to go down from that world, from that place that he's in. But he does, because the meaning of the tzaddik is to teach, and to bring others together with him, and that's what the tzaddik is. That's what he's talking about. Ein lo shum. No, tzaddik hu misha menake, the next to last paragraph. Tzaddik hu misha menake es atzmo mikol stia shal Ratzon. Aish naset sinor mezukach lohafas Ratzon Hashem. Shekein ein lo shum Ratzon el Ratzon Hashem. Ein lo shum Ratzon el Ratzon Hashem. Umimela Ratzon Hashem yochel lohafia bekirbo. Therefore, the Ratzon Hashem. He's like glass. The tzaddik, and the Ratzon Hashem is shining in the tzaddik. And it comes into the world through the tzaddik. The Ratzon Hashem comes into the world through the tzaddik. Kishurish hamislabish hamizgala ba'anaf. It's the shurish, the root, which kivyoch, the light of Hashem, that's shining through the branch. That energy of Hashem that is flowing through the branch, that's the tzaddik. Ba'anaf hamishtal shel mimenu. Mishtal that's coming out from the tree. The tzaddik is the branch coming from the tree, from the root. And when a person is zoiche to take this journey of the tzaddik, not just with the tzaddik, but to become a tzaddik himself, to work on becoming a tzaddik, to attach his Ratzon, to like the piggyback onto the Ratzon of Hashem, to tie his Ratzon up, to try as much as he can, to tie his Ratzon, Yehi Ratzon, Mulfanecha, and to try to make his Ratzon with Hashem's Ratzon. Not just to say He Ratzon, it should be He Ritzoni. It should be my Ratzon should be the same as your Ratzon. And he tries to connect his Ratzon to the Ratzon Hashem, as a Ratzon Hashem mofiyah bo, then an amazing thing happens. And that's what I mentioned last week. The Indian of the he's going to talk about the Misham in the next Maimer, Koach Pulas Atfilah, a little bit. He starts over here, and you see that a tzaddik is able to be poil Yeshua's b'kerev haaretz, all kinds of isis and life. So the tzaddik is able to be poil to change the world. The tzaddik, this guy's the tzaddik says something, and who Omar V'yeh. How is it possible? Because the Torah says that the tzaddik is not, on some level, is not distinguishable chivyachol from the Bari Olam. He becomes himself a tzina, a pipeline of that or. So Mela, once he has that pureness, he's in the place of wanting what Hashem wants. So Mela, the world doesn't get in the way of his Ratzon. The same way that the world doesn't get in the way of Hashem's Ratzon. What Hashem wants is. So the world doesn't get in the way of the Tzaddik's Ratzon either. It doesn't get in the way. As a Ratzon Hashem afibo b'tzur meleah v'otzmatit. Very powerful. The Ratzon of Hashem comes through the Tzaddik, shines through the Tzaddik in a very strong way. B'tzur meleah v'otzmatit. Otzma, strong. Ad shebekoichei Liskas afilu medregah shetiskala by haskula shel haratzon elokei. That miracles can happen through the tzaddik, Nisa. The world changes, things happen, strange things through the tzaddik. Medregah shetiskala by haskula shel haratzon elokei. That's the whole meaning of the Sefer, of the Vipach Ba'apah Nishmas Chaim, is that the Ratzon of Hashem is blown into the world in a very strong way, in a clear way. And that's the meaning of the Sefer, the whole meaning of the Sefer. And how along the way there can be distractions, and we fall into the shvarim, into the truths, and to come back to the Tkiya Gedolah, where it's clear that this is the Ratzon of Hashem, because all of the stiyot along the way are the shvarim and the truths, of life. And if you look in the Kavanas of Rav Kook and the Siddur and the Tkiya Shayfer, all the whole avodah to come back to that pshitus of Zer Ratzon Hashem, Zer Mashu Ratzon. Along the way, there are shvarim and truths. Shvarim truths doesn't mean that you're altogether away from Hashem, but it's broken. But the tachlis is to come back to that kol, that clear voice of HaKadosh Baruch Hu saying, Anochi Hashem Lokech, Zer Mashani Ratzon. This is my Ratzon. Shall I Ratzon Loki? Hainu. Shall I Ratzon the next page? Shall I Ratzon Yeh Koyach Pu'ula V'Hashpa Mamashi? That it's possible that the Ratzon of the Tzadik and his tefillas could be plugged, could change things, because the Ratzon of Hashem is traveling through him, and he's promoted to a different place of existence, of creation. Be'etzem Koach HaRatzon. Me'ein v'dugmas Ratzon Hashem. Me'ein v'dugmas Hashem. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants, it is. And there's such a thing by the tzaddik, he wants, and it is. Shumochaylo parlas hakol is able to bring about and to change things and to kavanasenu loimer. Sheratzon Hashem shoyne b'mahusam miratzon b'nei adam. The Ratzon of Hashem is very different from the regular Ratzonus of people. It's very different. Ratzon b'nei adam ein by koyach pu'ula mitzad atzma. The fact that a person wants something, he's just sitting around thinking that he wants something that doesn't make anything happen. It doesn't change reality. The fact that he wants something doesn't change anything. Ein by koyach pu'ula mitzad atzma. The Ratzon of a person that he wants something doesn't make a difference anywhere. When a person wants something, it doesn't change anything in Metzias. You can be sitting around thinking about this day and night. This is what he wants, this is what he wants, this is what he wants. It doesn't change anything in Metzias. Until he actually does something, he gets up and does something to bring about the Ratzon. Then he gets into the whole world at first. It's Chachma, then Bina, then Das, and Chesed, and Gevurah, Tiferes, and Netzach, Yisod, until this Malchus, and hopefully that he's able to accomplish what he wanted to accomplish. But he has to go through all of the koiches and bring them about and to do it, to plan and to be poil and to actually carry it out. To concretize, make real what he wanted. Haratzon ha'enoshi, human will, eino elo manoa. It's only like a motor or an engine. Hadochev es koiches ha'maisa. The engine is just to push everything. It's just an engine to push. It itself doesn't do anything. You could keep your engine running in the car in the driveway. It's not gonna get you to work. You understand? Just the engine is running. Oh, well, it's not going anywhere. So you need to press the pedal or the race and the wheel. It's not getting it. The engine is strong, and it's strong, but the engine is to get everything else moving. The Ratzon is to get things moving, but the engine itself doesn't move anything. It's the koich, it's the manoah. From the word lanua, tnua, to move. That's the manoah. And that's a modern Hebrew word for an engine. Hadoichev is koiches ha'maisa. That pushes the koiches ha'maisa. Sheyifalu v'yakshimu as a Ratzon, to carry out the person's will. So that's the engine. That my Ratzon is the engine for me to carry out what I want to carry out. But I have to use the other midas and nefesh to do what I want to do. The one thing is the engine, but I have to do all the other midas have to be engaged all the way down to Malchus till I'm able to do this. Luma zois. That's when it comes to human will, regular human will. Luma zois. Haratzon ha'eloki poel ba'atzmai. But the Ratzon Eloki, Hashem wants, and so it is. Haratzon Eloki poel ba'atzmai. It's poel ba'atzmai. Etzem hofaz Ratzon Hashem. That appearance, that expression, manifestation of the Ratzon Hashem, kvar mahave upoelis. That's already it. She brings to look in Pardes Yimonim from the Ramak. Ki Ratzon, this is all this one talk about. Ki Ratzon ha'eloki ba'atzmo. The Ratzon Eloki itself. The Ratzon itself. Mamshich chiyus upula. It's mamshich chiyus upula. Mahave v'yoytzer es hakol. It's already mahave v'yoytzer es hakol. Okay, b'vadai, kol Ratzon shel Hashem mismamesh b'metzias. Therefore, of course, whatever Hashem wants, that's it. It's then reality. What Hashem wants. Vein dov ha'omer b'fnei ritzonai. There's nothing that can get in the way of Hashem's Ratzon. Ki hu oma v'yehu tziva v'yamai. Misha megil l'madrega gevor kol kach. Now, the Tzadik. So what we're talking about now is the regular will of regular human beings. Wanting something doesn't change reality when it comes to a regular human being. If anything, it has the potential to make reality even more bitter because you don't get what you want, which is what a lot of the world is suffering from. So wanting something doesn't change anything. That's when it comes to regular people. But Misha Megila Madrega Gevaya Kolkach. But when a person reaches a Madrega that's so high, Ratzon Hashem Mofia Darko, that he wants what Hashem wants, and through the Tzadik, the Ratzon of Hashem, like the Shofar, the Ratzon of Hashem is blown through the Tzadik. And the Ratzon of Hashem enters into creation not unblemished. Not, it's like if there's the water, by the time it gets to us, it's already holished Auschwitz. One of the children had a book once. It was a fantastic book that shows how, when they were little, one of the kids had a book that I read to them. I probably only got halfway through. So I would always fall asleep in it, but I tried. That this book showed how until the water gets into your cup from the sink to the floor. So what's the whole journey of the water? It's all interesting. It was to teach science to the kid, to teach this Indian. So by the time that you and I get a drop of water, that's why I don't remember when they started, but sometime when I was growing up, they started having bottled water, which my father did not give in to. He would not give in to that. I'm not paying for water. So I don't remember even all the way at the end. My father actually would agree to that. He would always make fun of the bottled water. He believed that the Poland Springs meant that there's a Polish that's in the basement someplace with tattoos and a hose that's putting it into the bottle and charging you $5. My father said this all the time. He said, "Don't give me Polish Springs. I know about Poland Springs. It's a guy in a basement putting with a hose into it." He might be right. If you laugh at it, he might be right. But it's not in the basement. It's not like some sterile factory and the hose has been sterilized, which is a madrega. Because it doesn't come from someplace in Maine. I don't believe that either. Coming from Maine. It went through different Sinorot, through different pipes. Until you get a drop of water here in New York, whether you got a bottle or you take it from the sink, until you get a drop of water, this water has been through such sorrows. This water has been through Atzilas B'Yitzir Asiyah, until what it went through all the elements and what it went through and what it suffered on the way. Especially if you live in a city. I'm not talking about if you live over there, someplace in the mountains, and you get a drop of water from the river. But if you're getting the water that came from this system, the water system and the pipes, it was a whole shtalshlus, oilmus until it came into your glass, including the one in the $5 bottle, or maybe it's more. I don't know how much it costs. Until it got into that bottle, it already went through many shtalshlus in this drop of water, because the pipes are not clean, and the world is dirty. Until a drop of rain comes down in New York, even a drop of rain, forget about the bottled water or the water in your sink. A drop of rain, by the time it comes down, it's already verschmutzt, because it had to get through New York. To get through the sky in New York, this water has already been through terrible suffering. Until it got into just a drop of rain, and you're standing there singing, "I'm singing in the rain," and you feel like this is like you're singing like a Baruch Hu, this is unbelievable. The tahara, the ruach of tahara. This rain is, this I'm zeichet to this listening me out to matar moment of the rain falling. That rain that fell on you is already diseased. It's sick and dirty, and because it went through New York. You know what New York is? It went through this sky over here. So we live a little bit away from New York City. It's the sky. It came through this sky. It's already picked up so much schmutz along the way. It doesn't recognize itself. This water, these drops look at each other. They say, "Are we water?" And they say, "You remember what it was like in Altaheim? You remember what it was like over there by the Kisei HaKavod before we came down through the whole Seder Shtalshlus, what it was over there in the Olam Ha'elyon, what it was like being a real drop of water, Mayim Al Yonim, what it was like to be a drop of Mayim Al Yonim." And then look at us, and these two drops look at each other, but they're about to be put into the Poland Springs bottle, and they look at each other and they say, "Achmanis, ech naflu, ech nafalnu, ech naflu giborim." What happened to us? It's achmanis to end up in a bottle of water to get into somebody's tea or something. And it happened to me. Such a terrible mice. What happened to me? Alchas kameh v'kameh. When it comes to bigger things in the world, the Tzadik is clean. So Hashem's Baruch comes through the Tzadik without the Or of Hashem becoming dirtied, without it getting distorted. Sometimes you could be listening to somebody saying a shiur, right? Me or anybody else that's saying a shiur with the best intentions, and you're hearing the shiur, you're listening to the shiur, and something inside of you goes off and says, "Zeloza, there's something wrong over here. There's something wrong. There's something wrong. This is not the Ratzon Hashem. What this person is saying is not the Ratzon Hashem." Now, I'm not saying you should always trust your instincts, but you should often trust your instincts. How do you know when to trust your instincts? You should trust your instincts. But that's not necessarily the unfiltered Ratzon of Hashem necessarily that's coming through to you. This shiur, this Dvar Torah could have gone through already many stops along the way till it came into your ears. And it might not be the pure, unfiltered, crystal clear Ratzon of Hashem. Could already have picked up all kinds of things through many years in Europe and many years in Morocco. Wherever it picked up, it could have picked up a lot of stuff along the way that it's no longer the clear Ratzon of Hashem. But when you connect to it, the Tzadik emes makes no difference. Ashkenaz, Sfarad, wherever when you connect to the Tzadik Emes, and that's what the Olam's looking for when they go to Uman. Unfiltered Elokus. And then even once you get to Uman, there's all kinds of things you have to contend with in Uman. But when you're standing there and you have a moment by the Tzion, and you're able to be in that place, so then there's that realization, Zeh, Zehu Zeh. This is it. And it's not only us. You can do that go to the Kaisel, you can go to Chevron, but Zehu. But I'm talking about Tzadikim, the Rav Tzadikim. That's it. That's what it is. Ki Ritzaynai is Kadesh U'Mes'achei. We Ratzon Kaina. Because the Tzadik's Ratzon, Hashem's Ratzon is the same thing. Unfiltered, clear, clean. Aish Eskulas Kaya Chapula Shalai Ratzon Eloki Bisneitzetes and Mofia Besoich Oymek Ritzon Shal Tzadik. Therefore, in the deepest will of the Tzadik, the light of Hashem's Ratzon is sparkling. Hashem is, like they'll tell you, sparkling with the water, sparkling clear. I think, what do they do in England? The seltzer is called. No, in England they have. I forgot. There's the regular water and there's the seltzer. I remember when I was in England, they call the regular water
Soda water.
No, there's still, isn't it still something sparkling? Yeah. Okay, so the sparkling water that's the seltzer, right? That's the sparkling water. It means there's something artificial was put into it, which is the carbon, whatever they put into there to make it sparkle. So really, the truth is, it's less sparkling than the still water. But the what we call seltzer, but that already, again, the tzaddik is without any of his own bubbles, without any of his own interference. But the tzaddik is mei menucha, the still water of Hashem flowing through the tzaddik, unfiltered, clear, and perfect, the way that it was by the Kisei HaKavod. It comes through the tzaddik. This is the inyan of the tzaddik, and why we see it. We'll see what the Baal Shem HaKadosh made such a big to do about the Orb Tzadikim, being in the presence of Tzadikim. Even if you don't know what he's talking about. My father Zechron would talk about what he would hear from his Rav, who was a youth tzaddik, the Rav there in his city. Hashem should avenge his blood. And that tzaddik, my father said that we were as bachim, we would sit there waiting for him to come to. He would give a drush, he would give the shiur. My father said we didn't know what he was talking about. My father said I did not know what he was talking about. He was talking about, I didn't know what he was talking about. But my father said that from the moment that we heard his footsteps outside, Bacher, we were shaking. And he said that throughout the Milchama, I heard his voice. I didn't know what he was saying, but I knew one thing. My father said, I knew that was Hashem speaking. That was Hashem speaking. And I heard Hashem's voice. And because I heard Hashem's voice, I'm going to keep on going. I heard Hashem's voice. They didn't roll their eyes when the tzaddik walked in. You understand? The kishkas were rolling when the tzaddik walked in. And my father would tell us this all the time. What it was like. And then when he was together with one of his friends, when they were together, who was together with him in the yeshiva back then, 85 years ago, 90 years ago, when he would be together, then they would look at each other and they said, no, like the rest of us that were sitting around, like, what do they know, these idiots? They don't know what God is. They never met God. We met God. And that's how they would look at each other. They would talk. We met the Rebbeinu Shalom. We know what the Rebbeinu Shalom is. What do you know? You heard about it. You heard about God in school. We met him. Where did you meet him? Adon Vayrov, we met him. You never met him. Try to argue with that. He never said it in those words. I'm just saying. But usually it was just wave their head. It was like, And I have the same feeling. Many times removed. I was Ayekah to sit with the Sasson Rav Schussel. And I was Ayekah to sit with the Lubavitch Rebbe Schussel. And with the Reuven, with the Baba Sali Schussel. And then the feeling always is, it's something else. And I'm hoping that those who are to sit in the presence of Tzadikim Amitim in our generation, that they'll also give over that. What do you know? And we go like this since the beginning. Hashem sends us Tzadikim, and on our level, the level of that generation, who we are, we're able to come into that place of the Ratzon Hashem and feeling that Ratzon of Hashem without any interference, without any schmutz, without any pollution from New York or any other place. Just this is it, and you don't need any proofs at all. You don't need any proofs. You don't need to have any proofs of God's existence. All those things seem so silly. It's Elkus Mamish. We should be zeicher to drink clean water.
Right.